All right, welcome to another episode of the EsportsNext Podcast. It is my pleasure, alongside my lovely co-host, as always, the founder of the Esports Trade Association, Megan Van Petten, and we have the pleasure to welcome someone who has been very special in our lives, both personally and professionally, Miss Sharon Gill. Sharon, welcome to the program today.
It's my pleasure to be back here with the other two amigos.
Absolutely. Well, you have had a profound impact on both the association and me and Megan personally. So just to give people a little bit of a history, this year we've really been promoting our leadership program. And the people say, how did you come up with this? Or, what is the inspiration for leadership? Well, years ago, I think right before COVID hit, or maybe right when it did hit, Megan and Sharon got together and said, we've got a promising young chairman over here. Who could
Did
use
we
some
say that? I don't know, but go ahead.
could use some coaching. But so I was so blessed that the association connected me to Sharon and really helped me level up as a leader, really helped with my mindset, ultimately starting my company. And the benefits that I experienced from that, me and Megan got together and we said, you know what, we really need to help elevate our chapter chair leaders into better leaders. And so with that, we replicate the benefits that both Megan and I have had working with you, Sharon. And then the other thing is, we have something we do every year at the Esports Next conference that Megan has done for many, many years with other associations, and it is the elevator pitch competition. This is arguably one of the most exciting aspects of the whole conference because everybody's seen Shark Tank, and this is just like Shark Tank in real life. And one of your many expertise, Sharon, is how entrepreneurs can effectively pitch judges to receive investment in their company. So I'm going to start off right there with you. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what you are going to be providing this year ahead of Esports Next for our aspiring entrepreneurs?
Well, before I get started on that, I just want to just say thank you guys again for allowing me in your space. All those years ago in 2020, when Megan said, all right, I'm, have this company and it's esports, and I'm like, what? And my reaction at the time was, God, my kids do gaming, and really don't have much interest. But Megan was so convincing. And then when I met you, John, the integrity and just the passion that both of you had for the industry, that made me want to be a part of it. And even though I had my own reservations as to whether the Esports Trade Association would be here in a year, Megan was convinced that this is going to be, a lifelong thing. And so I'm glad to see us here back together after 4 years of working together. And regarding the elevator pitch, again, Megan pitched me the idea of coaching the elevator pitch competition. And it's really been a pleasure. And so I'm just going to talk about, what we've done before and what we're expecting. Perfect. Why is this so important? Because in the industry, and almost actually in any industry, we're always pitching, right? Whether you're a nonprofit pitching for donations or you are in the esports space pitching for investors. So there are certain elements that go into making an effective pitch. And one of the things that we offer in the class is the opportunity for you to actually practice. Because sometimes you know your story, right? But how you communicate your story is not very clear. And so in the elevator pitch class, you're given just, many opportunities to practice and to be judged as well. And so I provide the attendees with the criteria for judgment, right? For whether is it something you would invest in personally? Is there any ROI here? Is the person confident? Are they convincing? Do you understand what they're saying in 90 minutes? And so you get a chance to really practice and hone in on the things that an investor is looking for. And I talk a lot about the psychology of the investor or the psychology of the person you're pitching to, because you're using one part of your brain to pitch your excited part. It's all coming out, and the investor or the person you're trying to get the money from is reading you the minute you step on the stage, right? So you get one chance to make a first impression, and I'm trying to help you to make that one impression, a first impression, really connect.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Megan, I have a question for you. Although I guess, you're my co-host, I guess I'll interview both of you at the same time here because you just have such great experience with these types of events. And so, Megan, can you share the impact that you've seen, not just at Esports Next, but all of the other conferences and associations you've been a part of people pitching? And the reason I ask that is so many people listening are going to be hesitant about, am I ready? Is my, can I really do this? I'm scared to speak in front of people. Oh, there won't be that big of an impact. Can you share some of that impact that you've seen entrepreneurs receive by being on the stage?
Yeah, thanks, John. In over 15 years, so close to 2 decades doing this, the biggest impact for me is the feedback from the couple decades of pitches. Like Greg said, we couldn't even remember if it was FanDuel or DraftKings. They pitched, to community and created collaboration and partnerships before daily fantasy sports existed. We've seen Yahoo decades ago acquire, partner, companies bought, companies sold. But the most important thing is, in all of the years of doing this, is the feedback. Never once did I ever hear someone say, I had the worst investor. I had the worst experience getting my loan, or I had the worst partnership. That's what keeps me going, is bringing good people and smart money and plans and strategies together. And that's why the pitch class was born, because I'm like, how do I get the world the opportunity to get coached?
Right.
Because Sharon's only one person. So we
Right.
try to scale this. So that's the long answer, is pitching in an association environment is priceless.
Yeah. Well, one thing, probably the greatest piece of feedback that I heard last year at our conference was, it was a response around the people who are part of our community. And somebody said, this is the best networking I've ever experienced. And the reason is because we have so many people who are not just out for themselves, but they're there for each other. And
Yeah.
so that's one thing that I would really encourage people who are kind of on the fence is, not only are you pitching to a room of people who are going to be brands, investors, cities who have accelerator programs, etc., but you're pitching to a group that is saying, how can I help you?
That's right.
Not just, what am I getting out for myself?
And that's one of the things I liked about the class, right? Because when we had the classes in the past, I saw that camaraderie. I saw that, community, that brother and sisterhood, right? Because everyone in the class is trying to pitch, right? So it's almost like going to Toastmasters. And
Yeah.
so there's no really harsh criticism. It's more like, okay, helping. It's such a very helping environment. So when you get on the stage at the conference, you feel like you have a community of cheerleaders behind you, right? And for the person who says, I don't know if I'm confident enough to pitch, well, it is important to have confidence to pitch. And that is why, again, Megan thought, let's do the elevator pitch class so we can help to build that self-confidence in the pitchers, right? And there are certain skills, like, how do you tell that story in 90 seconds? What are the key elements of the story that we need to tell that's going to earn you the right for an investor to say, okay, come to my office and let me give you 15, 20 minutes more? What is that key thing?
Yeah.
And I want to share a quick example, John. Sometimes people are not likable on the outside, right? They may have a great idea. And I remember coaching someone in one of our classes, one of our ESDA classes. And that person, I like them, right? But I could tell that their energy, right?
Like a demeanor sort of.
Yeah,
Right?
just wouldn't be likable, right? To a judge, to a team of judges. And so I work with this
What was their first and last name? I'm just
No.
kidding.
I mean, I had a little bit of a side chat with this person. I said, listen, smile on the inside. Smile on the inside, because you know, you're not coming across likable, and likability is huge. The minute you step on the stage or in someone's conference room to make a pitch, you're being read instantly. You know, that first 30 seconds is key. And it's not about, hey, I'm John. That's not it. It's beyond that. It's just your body language, right? Your confidence. And one of the things, even when you're pitching, how do you dress? Because you don't want to overdress, because that shows you're not confident, right? You don't want to underdress, it shows that you're not prepared, you don't really care, you didn't do your homework.
Yeah.
And so there's so much to learn about how to really make that connection really valuable. Like, do your research on who the judges are or who your investor is. It's available on the internet. Go prepared. So you're matching their cadence. If they're a button-up kind of guy, button up too. If they're, you know, Steve Jobs kind of guy, go somewhere in the middle. You're not quite Jobs, but go somewhere in the middle. But be authentic and be respectful to that investor, to that judge, to that environment. There's a lot to learn.
Those are great insights already. We haven't even started the pitch class. I'm taking notes over here, like, all right. You know, there are so many people nowadays, I feel, who are making pitches, right? Capital is more accessible than ever before. We seem to even sometimes default too much into, I'm starting a company, I need investment, you know, because it's so accessible nowadays. We know there's TV shows like Shark Tank that people are applying for and things of that nature. So a lot of people are pitching nowadays. I'm curious, what are some of the more common mistakes that you see people making who are pitching for investment?
Well, if you notice on Shark Tank, right? Within 35 seconds, they're writing and they're interested about the money. Am I going to make money on this deal? And I've seen that even in our pitch class. People have great ideas. And I said, okay, so how does this make money really? Right? How does your idea make money? And I find that many times people can't defend that. So that's a huge mistake, because you're asking for money.
Right.
But investors are going to give you the money if they can make a ton of money. If they see
That's right. This ain't charity.
It's not charity.
I'm giving you money because I'm going to make more money if I give it to you than if I keep it or put it somewhere else.
Exactly. And I've had to tell a pitcher that your model, your business model, is best suited for a nonprofit where you're going to get grants. And they actually thought they were a for-profit. And I said, no, you're not profitable. So you're wasting an investor's time. So that's a big thing, I think. You know, obviously in the 2 minutes that you're pitching in a competition, you don't have your balance sheet there. But I always tell pitchers in the class, have that somewhere. Bring it even to the competition in case a judge actually likes you and you can present how this is going to make money. Because that's really, you're asking for money. How do they make money? So the mistake is being one-sided. The mistake is you talking about you, and it's all about you and your idea, but not really understanding that it's about the judge or it's about the investor and what they're going to get from you. They're not interested in you and your idea. They're interested in, can this idea make me some money?
Right.
So that's a big mistake I see a lot of pitchers make. They don't pay attention to that money part.
Well, one piece of feedback I heard a couple of years ago that really changed my perspective on pitching for investment, and I will give a name for this one because it's a positive. Freddie Halstead, who's a wonderful member of ESTA, and you know, he has a number of different companies, and he said, John, when you're pitching for investment, you're not asking for a favor.
Exactly.
You're providing an opportunity for somebody to take part in something that they would not have access to otherwise. And when I heard that, boy, that just completely changed my mindset. Because, you know, a lot of times in life, you're asking people for money. What is your situation? You're either down in the dumps or you're desperate or what have you. But no, that's not the case when you're pitching for investment. You are saying, I have this amazing idea that you know have the opportunity to participate in. And I would like to give you this privilege if you're interested. Would you like to join me in making this a reality and making a lot of money together? And I think a lot of people, in addition to myself previously, come into this space and are thinking, I'm asking people for favors. And it's actually the opposite.
That's right. You know, we come with our hands held out, you know, even in the nonprofit space, for example, where it's a true, you know, donor situation. Even the donors want to know, what is our ROI in terms of, you know, public image, in terms of how's it going to help the people? How am I going to look good or feel good? So in every situation, the ROI is very important. And so this is where, as you're creating your pitch, make sure you're paying equal attention to your presentation, but into how does this make money? That's what we see on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
The only reason why these guys bid for these companies is when they see that upside. Now, of course, they want to know that you also look confident to be a person to be invested in. And so what does that look like when you come on the stage or when you go into that conference room? How are you showing up? You know, you know, I heard this story about a guy was giving this example, and he's a guy who, you know, invests in a lot of companies. And he said this team showed up in his conference room 15 minutes late, apologizing they couldn't find parking, and they were asking for $5 million. And he's like, don't even pitch. So I would never give you $5 million when you couldn't prepare in advance to know that there's traffic in this area, that you wouldn't be late. And so preparation is so important, you know, because you're being judged before you open your mouth, just by your presence, just by how you dress, just by, you know, just by the words, how you say it. It's just important to have that whole package. But at the end of the day, the ROI is important.
And I think preparation is a key word there. And I give credit to Megan and you for really coming up with this whole idea of the pitch class, which is, and what I love is, we're not just telling people come prepared. We're saying, guys, we are providing an opportunity for you to be prepared as a member, free of charge, take part, and you're going to be working with an expert we're not just, and now there is the opportunity, I will say, for people who show up because, you know, Megan's going to get on that mic like she does every year, and she's going to like, who's pitching? Who's in the room? Who wants money? You know, we know that's going to happen.
I love it. Does anyone here want some extra money?
That's the pitch.
Who here?
I'll take some while you're giving it up.
Who here could use a little extra, little something, something?
Exactly. But we talk about the preparation. I just love that we have the opportunity not just to tell people to be prepared, but we're giving them the tools to show up fully prepared and be the best version of themselves. Can you share a little bit about, not the entire pitch class, of course, but some of what people can expect going through the pitch beyond just the pitching that we've already shared?
So I'm very observant. It's one of my skills, right? So everyone's on Zoom, and the first mini pitch is, who are you, right? So I have everyone introduce themselves, and right there, I've already formed impressions, right? and I tell them the impression, and then I remind them that, okay, this is where pitching starts, right? Impressions. So that's already my first impression, but they'll actually get a chance to make another impression because they weren't aware. And what we do in the class is very hands-on, from class one, you are pitching your idea. And what I've loved over in the last classes, Meg, and I'm so glad Megan really pushed for these classes for the member benefit, is to watch the improvement.
I love that.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. You know, when you record it and you see the improvement of how people pitch as they gain confidence, right? Yeah. And, you know, I explained at the very beginning, you're here to learn. It's a workshop. So you're going to be critiqued. I would stop you in the middle of your pitch.
He does.
We know that's true.
And have your redirect. But because you know why? You should be confident enough to allow for interruptions. What if you're on a stage or in a conference room and your pitch is interrupted? Oh my God, where did I leave off? It's, again, owning your pitch, knowing your pitch, And I moved them from reading because people come with the pitch deck, right? And I'm like,
Right.
we are not going to have the pitch deck at ESTA's conference. You're going to have to know your product, embody your service, embody your product, so you can speak from an authentic space and earn that right for a further conversation. So it's practice, practice, practice. And it do give you detailed feedback. And then, of course, I love for the audience, your fellow attendees, to give you their feedback as well. And I ask everyone to be honest.
That's
Because
the
we're here to
hard
help.
part. I think the one that's hard, because your job as a coach is to see the blind spots.
Yeah.
So those blind spots hurt and help, but it's raw and really invigorating too, because not everybody will say, like Sharon just said, well, one of my gifts is I'm perceptive. And it's true. Sharon has a extremely high level of emotional intelligence.
Yep.
She does. And there was a day that someone told her that, because she might think, what, doesn't everybody? No.
Yeah.
No, and not every, right. So when did you learn? You know, and oftentimes it's that coach that takes you on that journey where, you know, it's very uphill and rewarding. So that's kind of what that is why we created the class.
Yeah. Well, I think too, you know, it's important to communicate, you know, to people listening that this is also a safe place to receive criticism.
Totally.
You know where you don't want the criticism? On stage at the conference.
That's right.
You know,
or on Shark Tank, the show.
Right.
Yeah.
And you will get some, because we do have judges and it's live, and that's part of the fun and it's the part of the challenge, but you're prepared for it. And you know, one of my favorite quotes is, do not take criticism from someone who you would not go to for advice.
Yes.
And I think that's huge in today's social media online world, right? Where you don't know what kind of comment is coming from where and somebody's perspective. But you know, if there's one person I would take advice from, it would be our good friend here, Miss Sharon Gill. Megan, I have a question for you, because you've experienced so many pitches, and you know, at the Fantasy Sports Trade Association, like you said, at our association. What are some things that you've picked up on that maybe they're obvious, maybe they're not, that you see in people who are pitching successfully?
Well, you know, I had a blind spot recently that has been extremely invigorating. I was
Sharon pointed out.
Pardon? Oh, no. This is good. I was at a conference that did pitches, and everybody that pitched went to dinner with the judges. And I realized all these judges I've been part of a pitch with. And you know what else? There was one judge that reached over and said, you know, you're the only one here that's not a millionaire. And it was fun. And I said, what did I do? And the judge said, well, you never invested. I never thought about it because I never really had the money. And then I went in deeper. This was a major blind spot. I went in deeper and I said, what if you don't have the money to invest? And that person said, you become an advisor.
Right.
And I'm like, I was never an advisor. So here, years, decades, dozens among dozens. And I never said, you know, I could coach for form an advisory board of talented people in trade for part of your company. It's invaluable because you're enrolling people from the beginning to support you. And there you have a whole group of shoulders to hold you up. I just wanted to share that major blind spot for me. 15 years later, probably, oh my God, I can't even imagine how many people have pitched to me. Thousands.
Yeah.
Because people call me because this was one of the first things they used to see in the day. It's more formalized now. When we did our pitch years ago, it was so early Mark Cuban came. Because there just wasn't many people doing it. And that just goes to show it's never too late. For
Right.
anybody out there that wants an advisor, I'll do it now.
I know someone.
Three
Yeah, no, I
people.
think that's wonderful because, we went from talking to the people on the stage to the people in the audience, here. And it's a great perspective because a lot of people may be successful in their careers, have amazing experience and expertise, but either are not an official investor. So it may
Mhm.
not, they may think, oh, this is irrelevant to me. Or like you said, Megan, you may just not be in a place in your life where you have that money allocated to invest. Sharon, I'm a little curious your take on this, talking to the people who are listening who are not going to be on the stage, but in the audience, what are some things, building on Megan's great point here that they should have in mind?
You mean from the audience perspective as they're watching the pitch, you mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, there could be two different perspectives. From the perspective of, okay, do I have a product or idea that I want to pitch, that I want to know how to pitch? And use this opportunity to look and see what a successful pitch look like. And on the other hand, they may be in a position, unlike Megan, where they also could be an unofficial investor. I mean, they're not, I think at one of our conferences, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there were people in the audience I know of who had connected with one of the pitchers, not the winner, that they like their idea. So if you're coming to the conference, there could be a great idea and an opportunity for you as an audience member or as an attendee to be involved with someone's brilliant idea, even if that person doesn't win. Something about and this is another reason why people should pitch, because you may not win the first prize.
Yeah.
People who invested in the person I know about, they did not win, but people like their idea and maybe like them too. Because there's a ability factor. So even as an audience member, there's opportunity to either see how you should pitch or get involved with someone's company. And something that Megan said earlier, I just wanted to touch on when she was talking about, someone must have told me along the way, about me being a good listener, being perceptive. And it's the power of feedback and coaching that we're talking about with elevator pitch class, right? That someone may look at you like, John, when we work together, I said, John, I see something in you. Megan saw something in you first, right? She made you the board president. And she saw enough in you that she felt like, I want to pay you, Sharon, to invest in John.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of that you saw in yourself. I won't talk about our coaching experience, but knew how much of that you saw in yourself. So maybe Megan saw something that you didn't see. I saw something that you didn't see, but then our job was to help you see it.
Yeah.
Same thing in the elevator pitch. When you're coming to the class and you're learning how to pitch, you'll be given an opportunity to hear things about yourself that maybe you didn't see, strengths about yourself that you didn't know you have, it you could accentuate. And maybe some blind spots that Megan talked about are some weak areas where this is going to hurt. You want to minimize this in the pitch.
Yeah.
Because you don't wake up in the morning and be Sharon Gill. You don't.
That's day 2.
Good luck. Sharon Gill is a lifetime of
work.
A lot of work. A lot of work, baby.
Well, I love that perspective of, readjusting your definition of success to, I'm a winner if I win the pitch. You're a winner that you get the opportunity to present your idea in front of hundreds of people on stage. We don't live stream it, but there's going to be content from that you can repurpose, so you have an asset there that you can continue to share. The other thing that towards the end of what you were sharing there, Sharon, it made me think of, sometimes I see on Shark Tank, the TV show, where one of the sharks says, you know what, your business, actually, I'm not as interested in that as I am in you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so a lot of times an investor, what do you need? You need great people. You need somebody who is resourceful. You need somebody who presents well, of course. You need somebody who is creative and innovative and driven and, has these things. And that's rare in this world.
Yeah.
right? Especially somebody who's going out and is courageous enough to do their own thing, to put it on the line that says something about someone. And so I want to encourage people who are listening to this. Yes, the main focus is working on your pitch, but I feel like a byproduct of that is becoming a better and more confident entrepreneur yourself. And you may find yourself in a completely different situation post pitch that you thought being the right-hand man for somebody else's company, or something else that turns out to be a good fit that you never would have expected.
I love that. And that's
Yeah.
why the opportunity EST is presenting for their members is so great. Because like you said, it's not just being the pitch winner, but how does working with EST, attending the leadership classes, attending the pitch classes, how can you use that as a member benefit to be better out there in your workplace, in your business, as a leader? I mean, I know this is not a pitch for EST as membership, but I see what you guys are offering. And like you said,
Actually, Sharon, I'd like to present you with an opportunity today.
Here we go. Go for it,
As a
John.
member, one of the great benefits is our pitch class.
it really is. And you have the leadership stuff, and I mean, the community and your coffees and stuff. I mean, people get out what they put in, right? So
Right.
we can have all of these offers, and if you don't participate in them, then you can say there's no benefit there for members. But if
Sure.
you take advantage of them, right? If you take advantage of the networking opportunities, the classes, the development stuff, get on a committee and serve, then that's when you'll see the benefit.
Yeah. Well, I have one or two more questions for you. Time flies when we're having fun here, of course. We talked a lot about what do the judges expect, and that's something that's going to be presented in the pitch class. Having been a judge of pitches yourself, help us understand what, beyond what we've shared already, what are some of those things that these judges are looking for? Because so oftentimes you're on the side of the person doing the pitch, and you're seeing just your side of the table. But when you can sit on the side of the table of the person who's receiving that pitch, that's so much more powerful because it's targeted and you're going to what they want to hear rather than just what you want to say.
Yeah. So at the elevator pitch competition, I usually give the judges a judge sheet, right? A sheet to, that's here's a criteria I want you to look at, right?
Mhm.
Presentation skills, self-confidence, ROI, potential, would you personally invest, and just content. And so the minute you step on the stage as a judge, I am looking at body language and posture. It's just, I don't know. I want to give money to someone who's confident.
Right.
So confidence is very, very important. And then communication skills. Can you articulate your idea clearly? Can I see your vision? You see it, but can I see it? I'll just say there's a scripture that talks about, write the vision down and make it plain so that people can run with it. Can I run with your vision?
Right.
Am I gonna buy into this? Do I want to be aligned with you?
Right.
I don't know your character yet. I'll do my homework as a judge if I'm gonna work with you. But from what I'm seeing in this short 2 minutes, can you communicate well? Are you likable? Do you look confident? Because you want money from me, and I need to know that you have the confidence to go out there and market and sell your own product. Can I build a brand around you? Because I'm the silent partner. I'm not going to be the one running your company. You are.
Right.
So it's all of these things that you're being judged on in literally 90 seconds.
Yeah, something that pops in my head.
No pressure.
You're right. Yeah. Well, a lot less pressure after you go through the pitch class.
Absolutely.
One thing I learned in business school that's always stuck with me, one of the top reasons that startups fail is the unwillingness of an entrepreneur to pivot their idea. And that's so common because as an entrepreneur, let's say you created, this widget, right? And how did you create it? Well, because you experienced the pain points and it was something you needed, and it's for this one thing. And an investor or a big brand comes along and says, you know what I would do with I dropped it on the ground. So we'll do it with this dart that is from my son's Nerf gun. There's always signs of Johnny around here. Oh, like it's for this one thing. And well, you know what I would do with that? There's a need. If I took this and I did this with it and it, solved this different need. I'm curious, based on that example, how open should someone who's pitching, an entrepreneur, how open should they be to people changing their idea from the original intent?
That is such a good question. And as you're talking, I'm thinking about the two strong types of people, right? The ones who say, I don't care about the 5 million. I am not changing my idea.
Yeah.
And hey, if that's you, wonderful. I don't think it's going to get you that far though. Because if I'm going to give you 5 million, I may want to have, and you've seen this on Shark Tank, I may want, on the follow-up stories, I may want to have a say in how we do this. And so you have to be willing to adapt. Now, thinking about ESTA, for example, when I met Megan, it was right at the pandemic, and people were trying to pivot to go online, to work online. And a lot of companies, if you recall, failed because they were unable to adapt to the remote environment, to remote leadership. They didn't invest in coaching. They didn't invest in consulting. They just closed. They just folded. Yeah. And that's one of the things I admired about Megan when she said, all right, we're going online, and we had an office, but we gotta figure this thing out. And we figured it out by how do you communicate? We adjusted, we adapted. But you have to be a leader who is a visionary and who is willing to realize that, to say this thing, I could be wrong, or I could alter, or I could, don't be so stuck. Because the thing about collaboration is that you get to get the benefit of other people's also great ideas, right? You have to be open to be able to accept those ideas.
That was a challenge. I remember. It brings me back to 2020. Everything shut down, John. Yeah. And this is before
I know. I was there.
Oh yeah, you might. I can't remember exactly what your role was at that time. I know you were in the community, but I don't know if you were a chair yet. But office was closed down, and we were really lucky they didn't charge rent. So I took the rent that we had already budgeted and put it into coaching.
Wow.
Lucky for me.
I actually didn't know that until just right now.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, we budgeted for the rent and no one's utilizing it. And they gave us a break. We didn't have to pay it. So we had this extra, whatever it was. Yeah. And I said, Sharon, will you take this rent and coach the team on virtual productivity? And it was like such a smart idea.
It was one of the, again, companies survived if they were quick thinking. If they could pivot. And it's the same question you asked, John. You know what I was keying off about what Megan did. It's the same question you asked. Can you pivot your idea? Can you adapt? Can you adjust? Right. Or are you going to be like, hey, the Titanic is sinking.
Office is closed. Right.
This is it. So no, it's a good question, and you need to be open. I know it's your idea. I know you spent years developing your idea, but now you're asking me for the money. Allow some space for me to also add an idea to make this really work.
Yeah, and what I've experienced is I've gotten more connected with people who are, higher income, higher level, have hands in multiple businesses. You see this on the Shark Tank TV show. Someone like Mark Cuban, he doesn't just have the Mavs, he's got all of these other companies. Damon John, right? He's got a history in manufacturing and apparel and stuff, but he's got all these different things that are associated. And so they're hearing this idea, and what's going through their mind are all the things they're trying to solve for all the things that they touch, which are many, which oftentimes the entrepreneur has no idea of or hasn't thought of, because there's one perspective and one goal and one pain point that they've sought to solve this whole time, which has brought them to where they are today. And so just that openness to say, it's really, what is your goals? If you are so passionate, and I think it's a fair point, Sharon, of it is this thing. And I will say no to the money if somebody doesn't see my thing and blah, 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 right? Like, If that is your okay, but also take into account that it may not succeed.
That's right.
But I think the ego sometimes has to step back here, right? Which is, it can be more than one person's idea. Like, is success my idea was successful, or success I was successful in collaboration with others who sought to join me in partnership? And so just a message for our community there. Last question is actually for Megan here.
Okay.
Megan, how can people sign up for the pitch class and get involved to pitch at Esports Next 2024 in Chicago, July 7th through 9th?
So they can reach out to any of us.
Mhm.
And if you're pitching, do not miss the class. There is one opportunity too, if you're at the conference and you're on the fence, you can walk on, that's always a fun, thing that we throw in, but it is really best to just get in class, take advantage of this opportunity. I don't ever mince words when it comes to coaching. Sharon's the best.
I agree.
It doesn't get better.
I agree. And if you don't yet have the email address, it is info@esportsta.org, info@esportsta.org. And of course, on LinkedIn, if you have any interest in the conference, in the pitch class, you can reach out to me, Megan, or Sharon, of course. Sharon, any last thoughts or feelings that we missed on this episode? I feel like we've been over a lot, but also we could talk for hours and days on it.
No, I would just say I'm so proud to see that ESTA continues to try to bring this value to the community. And I've known the journey from COVID till now, and just to see you guys just out there constantly trying to figure out how we can bring more value to members, I think is just admirable. And I do think we have a good opportunity here for people to come to the conference and network and, take their stuff to the next level. So I would really encourage the listener to join up with these two.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate you joining us today, all the value that you've added to us personally, and you continue to add to our community. If you're listening to this, we encourage you not to let this opportunity pass you by, but get involved, get in the pitch class, pitch at Esports Next. And thank you for joining us today on this episode of the Esports Next podcast.